Terry Blunt, ESPN.com. Jimmy, I think most people acknowledge and feel you're one of the better wheelmen in the sport. And, NASCAR made a change a few weeks ago to raise the side panels a little to add less downforce. Would you be in favor of additional changes that made the cars more difficult to drive? Because do you think that would play into your hands and make the racing better?
Yeah, I'm not against it, and I understand the position NASCAR's in. They don't want the leader to be in the ideal situation and have clean air and all the benefits that come with it. And if they can close that gap from 1st to 15th, it's just going to be a better show. It's tough when we're, as race teams and on race weekends, the test pilots for all this. So there's that factor, which I kind of like, to be honest with you, because things have been the same for so long. It's tough to find something different. So whenever there is a rules change, it allows some team to figure it out first. So we're usually pretty good at that. The other thing, though, that we're never going to get around, I'm not against trying to fix it, but the lead car has the best situation. It doesn't matter what you do to the cars, what shape they are. The racing in the 80s, I'm sorry, they didn't know about the aero push, and I'm sorry we only had 5 cars on the lead lap. It's a different. You can't take back the knowledge we have, and the lead car will always have the best air, and you can't get around that. But if we can close that gap, I get it, I understand it. I think it's better for the sport. The more difficult the cars are to drive, especially the looser they are, it fits my driving style, and I'm all for that.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Viv Bernstein, NASCAR.com. Did Darlington just sort of open the floodgates? Did it take the pressure off the whole team? And are y'all kind of looser now? And have you drawn straws to which Hendrick driver is going to win this week?
No, I wish it was that easy. The momentum out of Darlington really helped the 48 team. It's hard to say that it impacted the rest of the company because if I think back, I think the 24 had some troubles. The 88 had a fair night. I think the 5 finished well, if my memory is correct. But when you win, there's nothing like the momentum from that victory for that team. Sure, it carries through the company a little bit, but from my own experience, if my teammate won the week prior, when I go to the track the next week, it doesn't impact me any. But I can say that, and I said it when I opened up, we've been up here telling all of you that we have fast race cars, and I think we've shown it, but it's been tough to really execute like we've wanted to, and especially for a few of my teammates. So to have that all coming around and all 4 cars running where they should is a great feeling, and that, as each individual team has their own success, that will build momentum. So Charlotte was a very good week for all 4 teams, the 2 weeks we were there actually. So I think we all come here to Dover with our own confidence for our own reasons.
Okay, we'll take a question from Bob, then come over to the left, and then back up front.
Bob Pockris from the Sporting News. As part of all this, as part of the clean and green racing that we've seen, there's a theory going around that that maybe the drivers are being more cautious, in part because of the point system, which seems to penalize bad finishes more than in the past. Have you found guys being any more cautious? And do you feel like the point system has contributed if they are being more cautious?
From my own perspective, I'm not driving any different this year than I have last or with other point systems. It's very similar to what we've had before. I know once you get past, 15th or 20th, the ratio doesn't equal what we saw with the old point system, but we're not thinking about that stuff. I'm surprised that we don't have more cautions. From my perspective in the driver's seat, when I look around me and watch my competitors, we are crossed up, we're slapping the fence, there's hard racing, there's side-by-side racing. I don't know where the cautions have gone. I'm glad I'm not a part of them. I mean, it's fine if it's someone else, but when it's you or your teammates, you don't really dig that. But I don't have the answer. I don't know where it went, but I know from on the racetrack, people may think that we're being conservative and racing for points, but that's been the nature of our sport forever. That hasn't changed any, in my opinion.
Okay, go ahead with your question right here on the left.
Alex Scoot, ESPN. Jimmy, we're coming from a couple of weeks now at Charlotte, mile-and-a-half racetrack, and we've arrived now at one of the most unique racetracks in the circuit. What are the keys to getting around here at Dover that you always have to remember first and foremost before you even get out on the track?
Well, fortunately, this track does relate to the mile and a half due to the speed that we run. The design of the track and the transitions into the corner and off are far different than anywhere we go, and that takes experience and a driver that likes this racetrack and the rhythm that it requires to run fast here. But from a handling setup and in the way we bring the car, it is in the direction a lot of the mile and a half stuff. So we've seen trends from a successful Charlotte means a successful Dover, and we're coming here with that thought in mind, and hopefully our cars roll fast. And I love this track, so those two things together really help.
Okay, if we can get a mic up front, we got a couple of questions right here.
I know a lot of drivers see this as kind of have a love-hate relationship as far as when it comes to Dover Downs. What do you see as the greatest challenge on a track like this? Concrete, one of the few concrete tracks on the circuit. What's one of your greatest challenges when it comes to driving here each time?
Well, to run a fast lap here, you've got to be highly committed, and it's not a very comfortable lap with the elevation change that you have from the straightaway to the corner. So you deal with it getting into the turn, and you climb that hill coming back out, and then you go to the other end and you do it again. So with if you show up here and you don't like that experience, you've got a long race ahead of you, and that's just over. But of years past, the tire that we brought, and it's been bouncing around a little bit, lays down a lot of rubber. So, and that rubber lays down where we land a max compression and where the car needs as much grip as possible. And when that rubber builds up, it knocks the car loose almost as if you're driving across ice. So I've enjoyed the challenge because I think line selection and technique really helps you get through those slippery spots on the racetrack, and it's led to some of our success here. But that's been the biggest challenge of late. I understand we're on a different tire, and it shouldn't lay as much rubber down. So we'll see how that goes through the course of the race. It's hard to really see it in practice, but usually race time, right where the right side tires run on corner entry and then kind of on corner exit where max load is, we see that rubber lay down, and that's been the biggest challenge over the last couple of years.
Any final questions for Jimmie? Okay, we got one. I see a hand in the middle. Okay.
Jimmie, Chuck Davis, Comcast Sportsnet. Just wanted to know what makes this place so special for you as a driver, and also what are your thoughts as far as looking ahead to this weekend or this week's Prelude to the Dream?
Yeah, the track here, the transitions in and off the corner, there really is a right way to go about it, and it takes time to kind of figure that out. And I think my background with off-road truck racing, it helped me adapt quicker. Turn 1, although the track looks very similar, the radius in turns 1 and 2 is a little tighter, and it's really one fluid motion. Whereas in 3 and 4, there's almost a small straightaway between turn 3 and turn 4, and you've got to drive through 2 corners down there basically, and there's a way to get that right. So I just enjoy the way a driver makes a difference here. It's something that's fit my style, and I seem to be good at adapting to uncomfortable situations due to my dirt background. And this track, you're never really comfortable around it.
Okay, we'll take our final question.
I'm sorry, you said Eldora. Excited for it. We're not going to get a lot of rest next week between Pocono testing, Eldora race, and then Pocono testing again, and then our regular weekend. But in a race car, I'm going to love it, and won that race a couple years ago. Hope to go back and do that again, and more than anything, support Tony and his charitable causes, and look forward to a great night there, and hope the fans tune in.
Okay, we'll take our final question from Steve.
Steve Richards with PRN. Going to Pocono, Jimmie, could you talk about the racing you might expect there, and are there some advantages you thought you had there that maybe you won't anymore because of the repavement?
Yeah, I feel like granted we haven't won at Pocono in quite some time, but we've led a lot of laps with the old surface, and I tend to like old surfaces. But that's gone, and Casey was up there for the tire test and had a lot of positive things to say about how the tire reacted to the surface. Normally, it's an edgy racetrack, regardless of the tire that it should come with on a new repave. And it sounds like we didn't have that, in Pocono made sure they used the same mix and the same asphalt they used, that we were racing on. So I'm optimistic that they're onto something, and that other tracks, when they resurface, they can go back to their old mix. We've seen this new mix that goes down, and it takes years and years and years for the comfort to come, for the track to age, for the side-by-side racing to come. And I'm hopeful that the Pocono track, the decision they made, will speed that process up, and we can go there and put on a good show. But I would imagine it's going to be super smooth and really, really fast. It's going to be a big engine test and an aero platform test. I mean, we'll compromise all mechanical grip for anything aero we can get with the speeds and how smooth the track's going to be there.